The pathologist was given 70-plus photographs in regards to the autopsy photos, as well as a few photos of the actual shooting scene. And he was given the autopsy report that was conducted and released by Mr. Schmidt, a Wayne County medical examiner. That was the information that he was given. Now, I stressed his credentials in the very beginning, and that this man is actually the author of, he's the one who wrote the book, or the books that are used on forensic pathology. And this is the reason why we retained him, because he is the one person in this country who has the expertise and the knowledge to do this type of critical analysis of looking at a written report and also to look at pictures and to analyze those to bring about results.
But he didn't look at the body.
He was not able to look at the body because the body was in the grave.
Wouldn't that have been better?
Well, it would have been better, but as I stated before, the family, for sensitivity reasons.
I understand that, but just wouldn't that have been better? He only looks at pictures.
Well, it would be better if we all could have the video surveillance footage to see what happened too, and he mentioned that as well. He mentioned that if he had access to the video surveillance footage, that would have been able to give even a clearer picture of what happened in terms of how he was shot and also the whole sequence of events.
Zavalina, just to clarify the three aspects of which is different from the Wayne County report. Just the first thing with the teeth and claw marks. Now the Wayne County report, he's neutral on that, right? Or he doesn't deny that it could have been, but he says that it's unclear, right, whether it was a dog marks, right?
Dr. Wecht has told our office that he can say with reasonable certainty, or almost absolute certainty, that he was attacked by dogs.
All right. No, I was just saying, what does the Wayne County report say about that? It's neutral, right?
Yeah, Dr. Wecht has, I apologize. The Wayne County medical examiner has refused to assume or look into what the causes are for the abrasions and lacerations on the imam's face, hands, and arms. However, Dr. Wecht has said that with absolute certainty he can say that those are caused by dogs.
And then the second thing is the jaw fractured by an FBI attack dog. Does the Wayne County report say that the jaw was broken by his fall to the ground, or is it also neutral and it doesn't say?
The Wayne County report is also neutral on the fracture to the jaw.
And then the third thing, the back, does the Wayne County report say that he was shot once in the back?
Yes, the Wayne County report says he was shot once in the back. Dr. Wecht has said that there were two shots in the back.
So that's the third thing is the main thing. It's definitely different. I mean, it's disputing what the Wayne County medical examiner said. Okay.
So did Dr. Wecht's report, was it conclusive that they did not find gunpowder residue?
Go ahead.
It does not appear at this point. We're not sure whether a paraffin test was conducted or not to determine whether there was gunshot residue on the imam's hands. But what Dr. Wecht has said is that given the circumstances in this particular case, that the imam has been alleged to have shot at FBI agents. In this particular situation, a paraffin test should have been conducted to determine whether there was gunshot residue on his hands. If there was a paraffin test, we're not aware of it, but we hope to get the results of that test. We'll be submitting a FOIA request to obtain that.
So he couldn't conclude, Dr. Wecht, that there was gunpowder residue?
No, there is nothing in the report that indicates that a gunshot residue test was even performed.
Who would have done that? Would it have been the agents on the scene, or would that have been done by the medical examiner?
I can't answer that question. Sorry.
Do you find his opinion about the dog, about the marks, the source of the marks, do you find that to be most significant in this report? These other issues, I don't know, I'm trying to understand where you see them on the scale of significance.
Until this point, the chief medical examiner had refused to, issue any statement regarding what the cause of the abrasion and lacerations were, so we had not been sure whether or not there was conclusive evidence of the imam being attacked by a dog. Dr. Wecht has confirmed 100% that he was attacked by the dog. And yes, this raises questions as to whether he might have shot in self-defense or not.
When you refer to dogs plural, what do you base that on?
Well, let me just say this. All three of us have heard from a confidential source within the government that there was more than one dog at that scene. And I had to leave it at that. There was more than one dog. There was more than one dog. And we all were in the same meeting where we heard this along with other advocates who raised concerns.
But you can't confirm that. You've heard that.
We're fairly certain.
We heard it from someone very high up in law enforcement.
You mentioned that this raises
Excuse me, what agency at least? Tell us, I mean, you're throwing that out there, and that's an important information. You got to give us an idea of how credible it is. What agency are you talking about if you don't want to identify the individual?
A federal law enforcement agency.
You mentioned that it raises concern about whether he may have fired his weapon in self-defense, but it's also possible that he did none of that he was told to stop and to get himself up, and he didn't. I mean, isn't that just as plausible as the other side too?
Both scenarios are plausible. It is plausible on one hand that the imam was not complying and was firing his firearm at human FBI agents. It is also equally plausible that he was not brandishing a firearm. He was in the act of surrendering when those dogs attacked him. And this is why the release of the video surveillance footage is so key. The release of the video surveillance footage could put all of this to rest. Period.
Could you talk a little bit about, there's various agencies that are performing their own investigations. Can you talk about where they are and where they are in the process, or who they are and where they are in the process right now, as they've told you?
Well, as you know, the FBI does its own shoot test. The Dearborn Police Department is sort of the lead agency. They're doing an investigation in this, and we've been waiting, as have you, for quite some time in relationship to this. Those are the two that I know that are actively involved at this particular point in doing an investigation. Others have been contacted, as Dawood has said, in terms of FOIA requests and so on, but those are the two that are most active at this point.
What about the state police?
The state police, I'm sorry.
Okay.
What are the two agencies again?
No, three.
Three.
She was correct, the state police.
What are
State police, the Dearborn PD, and the FBI shoot team.
So is the FBI done with their...
They're done.
Okay.
If I can add on one thing, and this is a concern we raised previously, we know that Attorney General Mike Cox, out of default, because Kim Worthy refused to do the investigation, that he hired former prosecutor Doug Baker to investigate this issue from the State Attorney General's office. However, we have not been given assurances that Mr. Baker is being given the information that Kim Worthy was denied. So in effect, can Doug Baker even do a thorough investigation if he's not given that information that Kim Worthy asked for? And especially in terms of the video surveillance footage. He would not be able to come to an accurate conclusion in his results.
There's no question that someone has video of this?
There's no question. We sent in a FOIA request. You gave it to him, right? We sent in a FOIA request, Freedom of Information Act request for the video, and our request was denied. So they did not reject that they have a video. They simply denied us access to the video because they said that it could pollute or influence potential jury pools regarding the case.
The FBI or the Dearborn Police? Who has the video?
The state, right? Yeah, Mike Cox. Mike Cox's office.
So all right, when you FOIA video, were you just, like we often send out FOIAs for any kind of material, video, audio, otherwise? Is that what you based it on, or did you know there was a video?
Well, at first, speaking to people connected with law enforcement, including former law enforcement officials as well as a criminal justice professor that's on our board, we understood it that it's standard operating procedure.